Hello everyone, DonTheCrown here with a real quick video and talking about what I think is one of the biggest mistakes that I've been seeing while we've been looking over people's builds as they're preparing for the upcoming Diablo 4 launch. And this is kind of like a theory crafting type of thing, but we're seeing a lot of people make mistakes specifically with glyph range. And when I'm talking about glyph range here is that when you first get a glyph, this big red range that you're seeing here is not actually the range that you're going to have on that particular glyph. So we saw in a dev stream that rare glyphs here level up as you complete nightmare dungeons. You kind of like put experience into them. And as you can see here in this glyph, the current level is level 1 and the next radius increase is at level 15. So what this means is that when you put this glyph, a rare glyph, into your board for the very first time, you are not going to see this radius for that. Instead, you'll see something more like this until you level the glyph up quite a bit. Now, I've had a lot of people telling me that they don't think that we'll actually be able to level the glyphs up all the way to level 20, which is supposedly the max, which kind of makes me wondering if getting it to level 15 is even going to be possible. But there's kind of another thing to consider as well, is that there are not just rare glyphs, there's magic glyphs as well. I have a big feeling that we're probably not even going to see rare glyphs until maybe really rare or probably world tier 4. So instead of seeing this radius, you're going to see this radius on your tree. And most of those aren't going to provide really big benefits. They just buff some of the nodes around them. And so they're not going to be as powerful as what we're seeing right now with the rare glyphs. They'll still be worth using over nothing. But for the most part, I'm going to be changing somehow I'm doing my build guides where I'm not focusing on glyphs all that much because I just don't think that we're going to have access to them right away. And I want to make build guides that basically will help get you through the leveling process, through some World Tier 3, and be ready to face that second capstone dungeon. Because I think at that point, we're really going to start unlocking like incredible levels of gear and different modifiers. And it's really hard to actually plan out a super duper endgame build when we don't even really know what sacred modifiers are going to do for our builds, let alone ancestral. We don't really know what unique drop rates are looking like right now. The devs are stated like you might get like one of these like super rare uniques the entire season, which means like maybe if you're a casual player, that's what it is. And if you're like a super hardcore grinder, you'll see a few, but who knows how rare these things are really going to be. So it becomes very difficult to plan that tippity top ultimate pinnacle build. And we don't really know what's going on with the leveling of the glyphs, how easy they are to get, how easy they are to level up. And so I'm just intending on making builds where we're going to get through that world tier 3 and getting into world tier 4. And then hopefully by that point, it's a little bit easier to know where to go from that point. And so, for example, here we had a build we were working on with Barbarian, where I was going and taking a whole bunch of glyphs. And instead, we're just doing 2 boards here with 61 points, because this should be about level 65. And then we're just going to take the Warbringer node here and just completely skip glyphs all the way through the way here. Now, if you want to know what are the best boards for your glyphs, let's say you eventually get up to the rare size glyphs, you'll notice that not all of the stats are in range. And so that means that if you're picking a glyph where the like rare node is here diagonally compared to like being in one of these corners, like most of the boards, won't be able to use a main stat glyph on that board too easily. I have a spreadsheet here that has a list of all of the glyphs. It has what the baseline benefits are, what the bonus benefit is if you reach the threshold for this, and kind of some information of like what the max glyph percentage is after you leveled up and how much of that you can totally get. And so I can see here that, hey, Blood Feeder, this is a dexterity glyph. I'm going to click on the Barbarian tab down here and be like, what's the best dexterity boards? Well, I got Bone Breaker and Warbringer. So I can just scroll down here until I find these. And I can be like, oh, this Bone Breaker board in the large size, I could use a strength or dexterity glyph, and they would both unlock without any problem, without having the bigger size. Same thing with Warbringer. The strength and dexterity would work here. However, if I wanted to use a willpower glyph, this would not unlock until we had it to that like level 15, I'm calling extreme size. And so this would be a very bad spot to put that glyph because you do have to have the stats inside the range of the glyph. And yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to recommend here for people to do. Don't necessarily plan on having the big glyph right away. And hopefully this video helped you out a little bit. If you have any questions about Paragon, feel free to put them in the comments or come by the stream. See ya.